Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel Pigskin Addicts, back again with another video. I know it's been a while since I've been on, but I am now in a position where I have a little bit more free time now, so I can be more consistent with the content, and that's what I plan on doing, especially as free agency is started, right? Especially as the draft is coming up. There's a lot to cover with this team. There's a lot to go over, a lot that I missed. So I plan to be as consistent as I possibly can. As far as the setup is concerned, I'm just doing this audio only thing right now. I got to get some stuff set up. Moving around my house, very, very hectic. Spring cleaning and things like that. So I got to reestablish my home studio, and that's something I will be doing soon. But until then, I'll be doing these audio videos. And then, I'll also be on video as well, too, but I'll just be doing it from a blank white wall. So you guys already know what I look like. You know who I am. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I am working on getting back to the old setup here. But I just wanted to go over the Chargers, their free agency moves, and basically how this is set up, right, for Ortiz, how it's set up for John Harbaugh. I want to go over this, and I think it's important. So we're off to the Harbaugh and Ortiz start. We're off to this era, but I think it's very important for everybody to understand that John Harbaugh and Ortiz, they cannot start anything. They can't start building, anything according to their plan until they clean up the mess of Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco. And Mike Williams being released basically is that. The Chargers were going to have to deal with this situation, the cap situation, no matter who the coach was, no matter who the GM was. Telesco and Staley, they tied up so much money into four guys. They gave four guys contracts, restructures worth half of the entire salary cap. So you knew at some point that this was going to have to happen, right? A tough decision was going to have to be made. And unfortunately, Mike Williams is the guy that gets cut because of, the foolish nature of Staley and Telesco. Mike Williams is the casualty for that. And I'm sure that he knows that it's not personal. The Chargers they had their backs up against the wall. Waking up yesterday, they had to make a move that cleared up about $23 million in cap space to get cap compliant before the 1 p.m. deadline, which was yesterday. And it went all the way down. I don't think the waiver wire for Mike Williams went in until like 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m., something like that. So it went down to the final couple of hours. Like they tried, their best to hold off on it as far as they possibly could, but it had to happen. So this is just a situation that, again, they were going to have to clean up. They knew it coming into it. Us as fans, they knew it coming into it as well, too. The corresponding moves, from Mike Williams being released is that Joey Bosa has now restructured his contract as well, too. So he'll be back. Joey Bosa will be back. Khalil Mack will be back. And I expect to see a Keenan Allen extension at some point. I think Keenan Allen is a guy that is very, very, very crucial to what, the offensive success that Harbaugh wants. I think Keenan Allen is a guy that you have to have. There's really nobody you can bring in and replace him. There's not a rookie that's going to replace his production, that's going to replace his leadership. There's nobody out on the free agent market that's going to replace that as well, too. So I think Keenan Allen is a very important cog in the success of the Chargers offense, right? Especially, him having the relationship that he has with Herbert. I really feel that I feel that Keenan Allen is indisposable at this point right now. So I do expect some news on Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen is going to be here. I don't see him going anywhere else. I don't see the Chargers releasing him or trading him. I think he's a guy that's going to stay around for at least a couple more years. But again, Mike Williams is the guy that has to, take the brunt of this decision, and it sucks. And I'm pretty sure, the decision making going into this was probably just based strictly on health, right? Because when the season starts in what, 6 months or whatever, Keenan Allen's going to be able to play. Khalil Mack is going to be able to play. Joey Bosa is going to be able to play. They're all going to be able to suit up in week 1, right? The only guy out of those 4, with the crazy contracts was Mike Williams, right? Mike Williams is obviously, making his way back from a pretty serious knee injury, right? Torn ACL. We've seen that happen. And, I think he is a guy, he's going to probably be out maybe the first 6 weeks. You can expect him to be on that PUP list. But I honestly think it's just the decision was about who can give us some value. And Mike Williams can't give you any value when he's on the sidelines, right? So I think the move was just based strictly on that. If Mike Williams was healthy, I honestly think Bosa or Mack probably would have been one of the guys who got cut. I think if Mike Williams was healthy, because I would love to see Mike Williams in a Jim Harbaugh offense. Jim Harbaugh likes very tough physical players, right, on both sides of the ball. Mike Williams is a tough physical receiver, right? He's not the fastest, but he's big. He's huge. He knows how to use his body, and, especially in the red zone, right? I would love to see what Greg Roman will be able to cook up for him in the red zone, but we're not going to see that happen because of, obviously the injury, but this was just not set up for the Chargers to keep everybody. I think the bump in the salary cap, the $30 million that's going to be added to the salary cap, that was huge because now you only had to cut one guy. If that wasn't there, then, you're probably going to have to get rid of 2 guys, but they're able to keep 3 guys, right? 3 guys out of 4, which isn't bad, but again, we all knew this coming into it. This was a mess that they were going to have to clean up. And, they have, fired the first shot pretty much. And we'll see what happens from here. But this roster has a lot of potential going into this season, right? Going into this season, I thought Mike Williams was going to be, safe. I thought, and I would have loved to seen him and Keenan work in the new offense, but it's not going to happen, right? So the Chargers, where does this set them up as far as draft positioning goes, right? You're looking at probably drafting a receiver right now. Depends on really how they feel about Quentin Johnston. If they feel Quentin Johnston is a guy that can make a leap and take a step and, perform on a much higher level than he did his rookie year, then, maybe they don't go wide receiver. But at this point right now, you're trying to replace a guy in Mike Williams who was productive for you, extremely productive. Before he got hurt, he was on pace to have like 1,300 or 1,400 yards this past season. That's not something that you can just easily replace, right? So when you're looking in the draft, right, you're looking at how some of these things are going. I think the Chargers now, it's possible they end up with either Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, or Marvin Harrison Jr., right? I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy that you want. He's rated the highest. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the draft, right? There's a lot of quarterbacks that are moving up the draft boards now. We'll see what happens going forward. But I honestly think that the Chargers are really looking at a wide receiver now. When you look at the wide receiver room, it's not great without Mike Williams there, right? You have Keenan Allen. You know the kind of production that he brings. Everybody else after that is kind of a question, right? We know Josh Palmer can do some good things for you, but is he a legitimate number 2? I don't think so. I really honestly don't think so. Only time will tell, right? We'll see how Harbaugh and the new team feels about him, but I just don't think Josh Palmer is a legitimate number 2 receiver. So I think the Chargers are really looking at a receiver here within probably the first round, maybe the second round. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's a lot of production that you're going to have to replace. I know Mike is injury prone. I know he's dealt with injuries in his career, but when he's right and when he's healthy, he's extremely productive. And he gives you a physical presence out there, the wide receiver position, that not many guys present in today's NFL, right? Guys who are his size are normally tight ends at this point now in their career. So that's going to be, something to miss. But I'm curious to see how the Chargers respond. I'm curious to see what they do, in the later stages of free agency. I'm curious to see what they do in the draft as well, too. Again, this roster has a lot of potential, but there are some holes that do need to be closed up. There are some positions that need a little bit more depth. especially if you're talking about a playoff run, a serious playoff run. There's some positions that need to be addressed: offensive line, defensive line, obviously linebacker. Right, there's positions that need to be addressed, and they will be. They'll be addressed. They'll get addressed in the draft, later stages of free agency. But again, this new era is off to a pretty good start. We've seen the signings in Gus Edwards, Gus the Bus, and Will Dissly. The Chargers are going to be a physical team, whether you like it or not. The San Diego era Chargers, right? The run and gun type of stuff, right? The Dan Fouts, the Air Coryell, and all that stuff. All of that is pretty much dead now. This is a Jim Harbaugh-led team. This team is going to be physical. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to have that identity. So if you're a Charger fan, you love the way that the Chargers played over the past, 30 years or whatever, this is different. This is completely different. We're not used to this. I'm not used to it. I love it. I love this type of football, but it's going to be an adjustment. There's definitely going to be an adjustment period, and we'll see what happens going forward in this first year. I have not been this excited for Charger football in a very, very, very long time. It's been I can't even remember. I really can't remember. But I'm excited not just for this season, but the seasons going forward. I feel like the Chargers really have set themselves up to compete, right? To put out really, really competitive teams out there. So I'm very, very, very much looking forward to this season. Very much looking forward to the rest of free agency, draft. When you get into OTAs and all this stuff, I'm very, very, very glued in. I'm as glued in as I've been, in the past 20 years. I've been a fan now for 21 years. So this is, the most glued in that I've been. So again, guys, I'm back on here until I get my studio and stuff set up. I'm gonna be doing a lot of these audio videos. I will jump on camera occasionally, but I'm gonna be doing a lot of these audio videos because they are easy to get out, very, very easy to get out, and they don't require a whole lot of editing as well too. So I can put a lot of these out every day, covering different topics and things like that. So very, very excited to be back. And yeah, man, thank you guys so much for all the support. I seen all the messages while I've been out, people messaging me on Twitter. I seen the comments on some of the older videos, people asking where I'm at and stuff. So yeah, everything's good. I'm good. Family's good. Just was a little bit busy there. I work a regular job. I run a business, and sometimes there's not enough time for me to deal with all of that, and still be a husband and a father as well too. So I'm glad that I have carved out a little bit of time now, so I'll be able to give you guys some of this content that you guys are used to. I know a lot of people have been asking me where I'm at, and my plan was always to come back to YouTube. So I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be addressing some of these current topics. I'm gonna try to cover as many topics as I can. I know I missed out on a lot, like I said, but yeah, we'll see what happens. If you guys have any suggestions on things that I should cover, drop it in the comments. Let me know, and I'll try my best to get to it. But that is all I got for this one, guys. I will catch you guys later.